your land, explore your sister islands. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
What's on your mind, Cayman? If you're ready to talk, we are ready to listen. Discussing current events and local news, community spotlights, hot topics, listener stories, cultural and historical discussions, environmental issues, fun and lighthearted topics, guest interviews. Cayman, basically anything you want to talk about, we are ready to listen. Here's your host, Charles Glidden.
Good afternoon and welcome to Talk Today. I'm your guest host, Orrett Connor, and the historical vignette that you heard just before this, that will serve as the basis, as the foundation for some of the discussions that will take place right here on For the Record on Talk Today, right here on Talk Today this afternoon. No guest scheduled in the studio. You may have something that you may want to talk about, so please feel free to call as well. We will be back shortly.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning. Ouch! When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or belly fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Talk Today is reminding you
to avoid any statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use indecent language or make any statement that is false or misleading. Call 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990, 949-8037, or WhatsApp us on 925-3261.
And now, back to Talk Today.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. I am your guest host, Orrett Connor, filling in for Mr. Charles Glidden. As I said earlier, the historical vignette can and will serve the basis for some of the discussions that I will have this afternoon with you, and I hope I won't be doing all of the talking. At some point in time, I will be discussing an article entitled Cayman's African Heritage. It was an article that was written, I believe, sometime in the 80s or maybe even in the 90s. It was published by News Star. I am not sure if any of you are familiar with that publication, but if you are, then please share that information with me if you have any information on that publication, News Star. Then that will lead me into the discussion about the Lieutenant Governor Nugent's letter on the Cayman Islands. That was called the Corbett report, that was produced on the 3rd of June, 1802, talking about the Cayman Islands as well. Meanwhile, we're going to go to something current. We continuously talk about Cayman Airways and the importance of Cayman Airways to the Cayman Islands from a tourism standpoint, but even more importantly, from the convenience that it provides to our residents and Caymanians here when traveling to certain cities within the U.S. And despite, and not disregarding it, but then someone, we need to determine the authenticity of things as well. And there's a video going around with someone with some vulgar comments about Cayman Airways and a booking to Canada. And despite all of that, Cayman Airways still is one of our most valuable assets that we have. So it is important for us to have that. Not only that, to have our own health services authority and the support of other health providers here in the Cayman Islands. And the reason that I mention that is there's an article in the Turks and Caicos Weekly newspaper dated the 24th of July. That would have been on Friday. InterHealth Canada, and I'm not sure whether or not they are operational here in the Cayman Islands, in the Cayman Islands as well. Sorry. But InterHealth Canada pulls the plug on TCI Hospital's contract. Government disputes shocking allegations. Now, can you imagine if the Health Services Authority here in the Cayman Islands was not the primary provider of health services, especially for the majority of our population, including those that are indigent? Can you imagine us having an outside provider of health services in Cayman, and they deciding to pull the plug on us? Can you imagine us relying solely on international carriers, and they decide they're going to pull the plug because they're not making enough money or whatever? That is why, folks, it is good to have our own. And I believe there is a Bible verse about God blessing the child that has his own. I'll try to look that up. But meanwhile, those of you who are heavily religious out there, you may know that, and please send that to me as well. Our WhatsApp number, 925-3261. So I'll share this article with you first. It says, the fate of healthcare in the Turks and Caicos Islands now hangs in the balance as a public fallout between the territory's primary healthcare provider, InterHealth Canada, and the Turks and Caicos Islands government has erupted. This comes as InterHealth Canada announced on Monday, the 20th of July, that's a week ago, that it had no option but to terminate its contract to provide healthcare services to the Turks and Caicos Islands. The company awarded a 25-year contract to finance, plan, design, construct, staff, commission, and manage 2 hospitals in the Turks and Caicos Islands, said its decision to pull the plug comes after a series of failures on the part of the government to meet its contractual payment obligations. The shocking announcement signals the end of a checkered 16-year partnership that has defined the island's medical infrastructure since 2010. In an official statement seen by the weekly news, InterHealth Canada said it had, quote, no option but to terminate its contract to provide health care services to the Turks and Caicos Islands. According to InterHealth Canada, the decision was driven by the failure of the Turks and Caicos Islands government to meet its contractual payment obligations. The provider claimed that TCIG, that's Turks and Caicos Islands government, has failed to make all payments due since the beginning of 2025. In its statement, Interfaith Canada noted that, and I quote, despite not receiving all of the required payments for more than 18 months, Interhealth Canada has continued providing the services required to keep the hospital operating safely. However, the firm emphasized that it is no longer possible for Interhealth Canada to continue providing these services indefinitely without payment. Interhealth Canada has therefore been left with no alternative but to terminate the contract. This is something about misleading and inaccurate. In swift response to Interhealth Canada's announcement, the Turks and Caicos Islands government expressed concern that the healthcare provider's press release was, quote, published without the government's prior consent or comment, close of quote. In a statement of its own, the government vehemently challenged the narrative of financial delinquency. It underscored that the allegations made in the press release regarding non-payment and Interhealth Canada's performance of its obligations are misleading and inaccurate. Government maintained that it has paid all clinical costs due throughout the period referenced in Interhealth Canada's press release and will continue to do so for continued services. Moreover, the government stressed that the financial friction stemmed from specific service failures rather than a general inability to pay. Of course, there will be political gymnastics being played by both sides in relation to this, but the point that I really wanted to get across was the fact that we here in the Cayman Islands have some control, at least to our health services destiny. The importance really of having having your own is extremely important. I believe I need to go to a commercial break now. So folks, please stay tuned. Talk Today will be back shortly.
I'd like to personally invite you to join me at one of our upcoming public town hall meetings. We're discussing proposed changes to legislation covering environmental health, tobacco and vaping, public health, health practice, and I want to hear from you. Whether you have questions, concerns, or ideas to share, these meetings are an opportunity for open conversation about issues that affect us all. Join us at 7 p.m. in West Bay at the John Gray Memorial Hall on Monday, 3rd August, or in Prospect at Seafarers Hall on Tuesday, 4th August. Come out, meet your neighbors, share your perspective, and be a part of shaping the future of health in our islands. Light refreshments will be available. I will also be visiting Cayman Brac and Little Cayman for town hall meetings on the 7th and 8th of August, and I look forward to meeting with our sister island communities. More details will be shared soon. I look forward to seeing you there.
Jay and Money and Appleton presents the Jamaica Independence Celebrations on Friday, July 31 at Compass Green with an all-day food fest. Come out for breakfast, lunch, and dinner and enjoy your favorite Jamaican dishes. The nighttime concert features Jamaica's #1 comedian, Dufton Duffy Shepherd, local rising star singer Shay, and all the local dancers and performers, and the Kids Talent Contest. Admission is absolutely free with lots of prizes and giveaways. See you at the Compass Green on July 31 for Jamaica Independence Celebrations. Sponsored by Popeyes, Best Dress, Water, Excelsior Biscuits, Maggie, Suppligen, Grace Foods, Wellies, Rodney's Car Rental, White Construction, General Automotive Services, iCool Air Conditioning, Radio Cayman, and Breeze FM.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. I am your guest host, Orrett Connor, filling in for Mr. Charles Glynn Shallow. Any calls coming through as yet? Let me remind our listening and viewing audience, phone lines are open if you want to call in. We have a toll-free number, so if you're using a Flow phone, you can call in on 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037, 949-6990, WhatsApp number 925-3261. So we're going to go to this article, Cayman's African History. And I know that this may be uncomfortable for some Caymanians. Some like to talk about it. Some don't necessarily like to talk about it. But it is a conversation that has to be had. And we have stayed away from it too long. We have whispered it under our breath, but we haven't spoken openly about it. Because, other than the Dr. Steve McFields, the Roy Bordens, the Dr. Frank McFields, the others, the Carl Browns, and some others, some people just simply don't want to talk about it, at least publicly as well. So, this is an article from Cayman News Star. Cayman's African Heritage. It's pretty long, so I may have to take a commercial break in between. But it starts by saying that the subject of this month's African Heritage is about which in the Cayman Islands little has been written and less researched. And I'm going to add to that and say, and less talked about as well. Right? Therefore, what is presented below is by no means a complete statement on this topic. And the writer says, we acknowledge the need for a more in-depth study of our African heritage, including those topics of music, dance, belief, and customs. The article goes on to say that Cayman's African heritage derives from the fact that the majority of the population is of African and mixed African-European descent. The first census taken in Grand Cayman in 1802 showed 309 whites, 73 coloreds, 6 free blacks, and 545 slaves. The last census that dealt with population by race in the Cayman Islands was taken in 1970. The first Africans are thought to have arrived in 1677 when the Dutch burnt all French vessels on the coast of Hispaniola and took a ship with some 500 Negroes and 28 pounds of gold and went to Caymanos. Take a pause there for a second. So that's probably why people used to hear so many people talk about gold being in Cayman and the pirates burying their gold, hiding their treasures here and everything. So this is history having recorded that 500 Negroes and 28 pounds of gold were sent to the Cayman. Other enslaved Africans were brought here by the first grantees in 1734, and subsequent settlers. Many arrived later in 1781 when an African ship called the Nelly, bound for Jamaica, was wrecked on the reef, and a great many of the slaves were sold to pay salvage and other expenses. Over the next decades, Many arrived in provision ships from Montego Bay. The last sale of a slave is said to have taken place in October of 1830, when a 5-year-old Negro girl was bought by William Eden McCoy from Alexander Watler for £45, 10 shillings. There were no exact numbers available on the total number of slaves brought to the Cayman Islands from the mid-17th century until 1808, when the slave trade was abolished. The Cayman Islands thus began as a slave society, but compared to the large plantocracies in the rest of the Caribbean, Cayman had only a small number of slaves and a lower proportion, and a lower proportion of slaves to white. Emancipation of Cayman's 962 slaves took place by proclamation on the 3rd of May, 1835. You heard Dr. McField talk a lot about that. And in 1837, the former slaves were discharged from the remaining terms of their apprenticeship. A registration of the slaves carried out in April of 1834 showed that most of Cayman's male slaves were field laborers, with a few being classified as mechanics, carpenters, coopers, sawyers, seamen, and fishermen. Most of the female slaves were listed as domestics, with one registered as a midwife. Whatever success Caymanian settlers had in commercial agriculture had been based on slave labor, and it thus suffered a decline when slavery was abolished. The former masters could not maintain their old dominance over the freed slaves, as Grand Cayman was sufficiently sparsely populated for the latter, that is, the freed slaves, to get land of their own. Some stayed on close to the settlements, in some cases on land given to them by their masters, and these may have remained to a greater extent. Sorry for the pause, but I have to scroll back. To a greater extent under the influence of the old slave-owning families. Many others went north and east, that is north and east of Grand Cayman. However, to establish themselves on uninhabited land where the agriculture in which they engaged was mostly of a subsistence variety. On arrival in the New World, the early Africans were forced to give up much of their former life and culture. It has been clearly documented in the USA and other Caribbean islands that they secretly practiced many of their traditions, especially those relating to music, dance, beliefs, and customs. And I will say, some of which still exists today. Less and less, but still exists to a certain extent. In the Cayman Islands, however, how much of these traditions and patterns remain with us today is a question which deserves further study. So this was in the 80s that they were saying it deserved further study, or early 90s. It still obtains today as well. We have not gone as far as we need to go in terms of the study. But if you read books like Dr. Roy Borden's books, and of course there will be books coming out by Dr. Steve McPhail as well, we will know more about it. Whether or not you turn off your ears to it, or if you want to hear about the real history, history of Cayman, then that's up to you. I know for certain that this individual, this person's whose voice you're hearing on the air, will certainly be attuned to it and involved in any way possible as well. Article goes on to say that there are indications of African influences in our sense of aesthetics and some social practices. Our African heritage is most strongly revealed in the foods grown and eaten. Certain words, expressions, and sentence patterns common to Cayman English, and certain musical influences, most notably the calypso rhythm. Got to scroll again, folks. No, don't have to scroll anymore. Let me read that part again for you, because that says in the Cayman Islands, how much of these traditions and patterns remain with us today is a question which deserves further study. There are indications of African influences in our sense of aesthetics and some social practices. Our African heritage is most strongly revealed in the foods grown and eaten, certain words, expressions, and sentence patterns common to Cayman English, and certain musical influences, most notably the calypso rhythm. And that is where the article on Cayman's African heritage, that is where it ends. I believe, folks, I have to take another commercial break. Please stay tuned. Talk Today will be back shortly.
Cineco's parametric insurance after hurricanes is now available for motor policies. Fixed automatic payouts cover incidental vehicle expenses like fuel, cleanup, and minor repairs. No claims, no damage required. $200 for comprehensive policies or $100 for third-party policies. Available exclusively through Cineco and included with all new motor insurance policies and upon renewal for current policies. Visit Cineco.ky today. Cineco, keeping Cayman covered.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Think on an okay, man? Get out and explore the legends behind our landmarks competition. Visit any landmark on interactive map, snap a photo or video, then share it to Instagram or Facebook and tell us what you learned. Tag at MYSCH_Cayman and use hashtag legends behind our landmarks for your chance to win weekly prizes and 2 major prizes. The more landmarks you visit, the more chances you have to win. Visit Legends Behind Our Landmarks.ky and find out where we from. Brought to you by the Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture, and Heritage.
Grow your business with Breeze 105.3 FM and Radio Cayman. From spot packages to full campaigns, we've got rates that fit your budget and your goals. Email our sales team today, rcsales@gov.ky. That's rcsales@gov.ky. Let's get your message on air and reach listeners who trust us every day.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. 2 callers on hold. Let's go to the first caller. Caller, good afternoon. Welcome to Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Mr. O'Connor.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Okay, and you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. Speaking about African heritage, descendants. Yeah, my grandpa Charlie Orrett, his family was Africans, and that's where the last name Orrett come from.
Okay.
Yeah, and I remember one time I was in Northwood, Ramondi, and I went to see the doctor in Northwood, and he said to me, "You know your last name is African, right?" And I said, "Yeah, I hear that." He says, "I'm telling you because when I was training in Africa to be a doctor, I had a few patients with that last name." And then one time I went to a doctor in Bordentown clinic, and another doctor mentioned that to me too. He said the same thing. He said, "You know your last name is Orrett is African, right?" And he told me the same thing. He said, when I was training to be a doctor in Africa, I had quite a few people with that last name. So, Lord's willing, God's spare my life. I'm hoping to find out now exactly where that was they were training. Maybe I can probably find my family in that area.
Okay, yeah, that was going to be my question, was to ask you if you know what country they were training in, what African country.
No, I never did ask the doctor that, but I know who the doctor is. So as soon as I can, again, I'll mention that to him and ask him exactly what part of Africa that was, where he was training, that he was able to find people with the last name Orrett, because it was quite a few for him to remember that name. So I'll be speaking to him again. I know who the doctor is. Dr. Christian, his name is. So I'll be trying to get in contact with him concerning that.
So caller, go ahead. Sorry, I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead, Mr. Orrett.
No, I was going to say that how important do you feel that it is for all of the inhabitants of the Cayman Islands, generational Caymanians, to know about their heritage, to know about their background in terms of where their families descend from. I mean, we see in the United States where there's still that divide between families, white families, and families of African descent that share slave owners as their parents, some of them coming together. And of course, the most notable of all was the family of Thomas Jefferson, which is still, playing out in the United States today. How important do you feel that is for the Cayman Islands, for you, Mr. Orrett, and for me, Orrett Connor, to know of our African heritage?
Well, it's very important. It's very important to know the history and the background of your ancestors, to know where they're from. My grandmother was from Isle of Pine, Cuba.
Okay.
And one time when my daughter was in living in England, and she had some African friends, and I mentioned to her that that my grandfather ancestors were African, and that's where the last name Orrett came from. And that's something she never knew until I mentioned it to her.
Well, I see, yeah.
Yeah, so it's very important for parents to let their children know the background and the history of their grandparents and their great grandparents, because it's very important for children to know those things, that they can pass that on to their children, and for them to know where they're coming from.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, so it's very important. But concerning the show you had this morning with Mr. Woody Foster.
Yeah.
And the other young woman there. What exactly was that show about?
Well, there's a campaign that is going to take place throughout the year. Talking about good governance and the role of the commissions for standards in public life, the role that they play. Also getting feedback about possible changes to the legislation, whether or not it needs to, where changes need to be made, whether to be more stringent or to be relaxed in certain areas. But the whole idea is about holding politicians, senior public servants and civil servants, those persons who serve on the various boards, ensuring that to avoid any conflicts of interest and other things, that they adhere to the standards in public life law, and that they also register their interests.
Yeah, that's very important. That's very important, and I think when it comes to companies, certain companies like CUC, I think members of the Legislative Assembly should let the public and anyone else know that needs to know if they have shares in CUC.
I think that's part of their declaration that they have to make as well. Yeah. What their ownership is in various companies. Yeah, that is.
Yeah, because I know I asked Mr. Edward Miller if he did, and he said no, and he wasn't interested in having any shares in CUC either. So I think and conflict of interest is very serious, Mr. O'Connor.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Okay, I'll give you an example. If there's a case in the Grand Court and you have to select a jury, and the jury members know the individual or individuals that are in the case, that is the reason why they're not allowed to be a jury member. If they have any close relationship with that individual or individuals.
Yeah, and they're screened to determine that.
Yeah, so that's very serious. You see how serious the Grand Court takes it, right? Okay, well, that's the same way the government needs to take it. Thank you very much, Mr. O'Connor.
Thank you very much, caller, as well. We have another caller. We have about 3.5 minutes. We're going to start the caller. If we're unable to finish, we're going to ask the caller to hold on in the middle of the conversation while we go to our headline news at 1 o'clock, and then we'll continue the conversation. But let's start the conversation. Caller, good afternoon. Welcome to Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Mr. Connor.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
How are you doing today?
I'm good. And yourself?
Not too bad for a young little fella. Mr. O.C., I know plenty about my history, Mr. O.C., but I don't make people know. I know, sometimes you gotta kind of keep quiet, But, my mother told me a lot of things, and I realized a lot of things. And my father, I got a lot of family from all over the world, Mr. O.C. And even my same great-grandfather from Barbados, one of his relatives was telling me that one of his brothers moved to Africa a long time ago. I even got a knight in my family, Mr. O.C.
Sorry, I missed that. What you said about your family?
I have a knight in my family.
Oh, okay.
And it's still related to a lot of Caymanians. That's from another country, though. But, Mr. O.C., I don't like to say too much, but it's a lot that we need to know. it's a lot that we need to know. I mean, I know quite a bit because I've been like one of the historians in my farm, one of the young ones at least, one of the young, you know, and I said to myself, but geez, some peace, man, Mr. O.C. I had to say to myself, you know something, let me try to treat people very, very well, treat as many people well as I possibly can. Because when I found out a lot of my relatives and the different countries that they were from, I tried to, it inspired me to try to counsel people to be nice to each other, you know, from different countries, you know, and, you know, our Caymanians and, you know, this thing about foreigners and all that. I mean, we all mix. We so mixed, and it used to be other problems before that they used to talk about, before they used to talk about foreigners, because, you know, a lot of people denied that they were related. You know, for so many different reasons.
And maybe that's one of the reasons that we don't really have an open and frank discussion, you know, about these things here in Cayman.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Some people say, you know, something. Oh, no, not him. Not him, no, sir. Not him, not her.
Yeah, well. There is a story that we heard. A gentleman has since passed, you know, but his family was white in Cayman, and another family member wanted to borrow a family picture that they had, and the family picture also had a black member of the family in it. And when he saw the picture that was taken, the black family had been whited out of the, that's a bad use of a term, but it had been, I guess we got blacked out of the photograph so that it didn't show the black. And that man told us this at his home. Not only me, but several other Caymanians that were there as well. Caller, we have to go to our news. Thank you very much. But please feel free to call back, because I will be sharing more information with you during the period that I have here on Talk Today until 2:30 this afternoon. So, folks, top of the hour, 1 o'clock news. Please stay tuned for the Talk Today. We'll be back shortly.
This is the People's Radio Station. Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The Headline News is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
I'm April Cummings with your headlines. The Department of Education Services is celebrating another successful summer school program. The initiative served primary school students across the islands with targeted literacy and numeracy support, while parents and students alike reported positive results. The program has helped young learners build confidence in and out of the classroom. In international headlines, thousands of people are being forced to flee their homes in France as one of Europe's biggest evacuations since World War II is underway. Later this week, rising temperatures could complicate efforts to combat fires, which have scorched an area more than 4 times the size of Paris. Firefighters say the fires have become so violent that they can't be fought head-on. But there is some good news. A giant fire in the southwest region is slowing down. International mediators say the U.S. and Iran have made progress toward restarting negotiations after both sides paused direct attacks. However, drone strikes by Iran-backed groups in Iraq and Yemen, along with other regional incidents, show that tensions remain high, despite the diplomatic progress. Qatar and Pakistan are reportedly leading efforts to secure an interim ceasefire and prevent the conflict from escalating into a broader regional war. Those are your headlines. I'm April Cummings.
More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Your Cayman Islands Health Services Authority has been the national healthcare provider of the Cayman Islands for many generations. We have elevated our level of care to ensure you, our patients, have the best possible experience. We offer better access to care close to home with the most locations on all 3 islands, delivering a full range of primary, secondary, tertiary, and emergency care. HSA is a JCI accredited organization, and we are committed to caring for you.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands. Captain Keith Parker Tibbetts, MBE, JP. Captain Keith Parker Tibbetts, MBE, JP, was born at Cotton Tree Bay, Cayman Brac, on October 15, 1916, to James Nathaniel Tibbetts and Elsie Huldah Tibbetts, nee Hunter. He was a man of many talents. From shipbuilding, seafaring, a military career, a prosperous entrepreneur, and many decades of service to the people of Cayman Brac and the Cayman Islands as a whole. After serving as a member of the lawmaking body known as the Vestry from 1946 to 1968, he represented the Cayman Islands at the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association in Trinidad in 1968 and again in 1978. In 1969, he was appointed a JP. Then in 1976, he was elected to the Legislative Assembly for a 4-year term. Notably, the Cayman Brac representative petitioned the Legislative Assembly with names of over 400 Cayman Brackers, stating they wished to remain a crown colony rather than follow Jamaica's route of independence. In 1977, he represented the Cayman Islands at the Queen's Silver Jubilee in London. In 1988, he was made a member of the Order of the British Empire, MBE, among numerous other community awards, and served with many groups from Ebenezer Baptist Church to Education Councils, Veterans and Seamen's Society, CUC, and the Rotary Club of Cayman Brac. As a testimony of his contributions to his community and connection to sea and tourism, in 1996, shortly after his passing, a Russian destroyer was renamed the MV Captain Tibbetts in his honor and sunk in Cayman Brac waters by the Cayman Islands government to become a popular dive site. After a long and distinguished life of service to his community, he passed away on March 10, 1996. He was married to the late Hilary Elizabeth Marjorie Tibbetts, and together they had 5 children. This was part 7 of a special Sister Islands vignette series dedicated to Captain Keith Parker Tibbetts.
I'll be back. I've got 22 more days.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Happy 50th anniversary, Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman has always been a paramount part of my life. As a boy growing up on Cayman Brac in the Cayman Islands, it was the magical colors of Radio Cayman, not TV, that inspired me to become great. Happy 50th anniversary, Radio Cayman. I want to thank you for educating me and for entertaining me over the years. Radio Cayman gave me the opportunity to broadcast, to tell stories, to sing, and to become the best. Radio Cayman is a national treasure, Caymanian culture at its best. Thank you, Radio Cayman. Happy 50th and wishing you many, many more. I'm Quincy Brown.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. I am your guest host, Orrett Connor, filling in for Mr. Charles Glidden. I'm expecting a call to come in on the WhatsApp number. Has a call come in yet? Not yet. Hopefully the caller will the person will call in. I have actually been discovered the person who wrote this article, Cayman's African Heritage. It was, I'm told that it was a series, the ABCs of Caymanian Heritage, and I will not reveal any more at this point in time. I'll wait to see whether or not we receive that call. To the caller, if they're listening, our WhatsApp number, 925-3261, or if you're calling from a flow number, that number, 1-800-534-8255. That's a toll-free number. Other numbers are 949-8037, 949-6990. WhatsApp number again, 925-3261. Meanwhile, let's go to something else related to the Cayman Islands and talking about our history or his story. Sorry? Okay, let's grab, we do have a caller. Let's grab the caller. Caller, good afternoon. Welcome to Talk Today.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Connor. Happy Monday.
Good afternoon. Thanks, and the same to you.
Thanks. I didn't catch your show this morning, but it sounds like you had an interesting show going on there. I just caught a bit of what you were saying to the caller before the last caller of some of the discussion this morning. And I do think that it is imperative, actually, that we do have, what were you calling it, the standards of public life? Yes, that we do have something implemented and put in place, because I think, Cayman has evolved and developed to such a degree that I said this already last week, that everybody wants to come here, right? And so we have to move along with the developing times and bring our legislation up to date to meet those developments, and that includes, as you were saying, senior civil servants, or I think that's what you said, and members of boards and that sort of thing, if I'm quoting you correctly, yes. Because we have to hold them accountable. We don't want people in these positions dancing under the limbo, what is it called, the limbo pole, or the limbo...
limbo stick?
You know what? Limbo stick, yes. Yes, just because they have these certain positions, right? We everywhere else, for most of what we know in the free world, is that they do have these standards, and because we're a developing or a very fast developed nation, we have to get up to that times, and also to comply with some human rights priorities and that sort of thing too. So I do think it's imperative, and hope. I think you were saying that the government was looking at it, and so I hope that they get started on that soon, if that's what you were referring to.
Well, they're actually seeking feedback on the. They have a campaign that is taking place, and they're actually seeking feedback, on it. I'll if you continue talking, I'll find the details of it and pass and share them with you. If you continue talking for me, go right ahead.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. So, like I said, I just think that is very important, imperative for the government to do, and it also gives the public and the Cayman Islands people that much confidence in knowing that the government is holding, making legislation or working towards putting implementation, because we've seen a lot of, I'm going to use this word lightly, scandals and revelations coming out about different government agencies and different committees and boards and that sort of thing, and even politicians, and basically nothing has happened. Some people were just removed, and some people didn't get back in office, and something just went over your head, so to speak. And so I think that's a good move that they're making. I know there was some talk about it previously, but I guess now they're making a move on it. The other thing I wanted to quickly mention, you guys were discussing, your question was, should we, as Caymanians, I think how you worded it, want to know about our heritage and our background and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think that is important, and I know quite a few people who have done these ancestry background these ancestral researches,
Mm-hmm.
and I've even been surprised. Some people have said to me, "Hey, I'm related to you," and I would have never thought. As far as I am aware, my grandfather is Mr. Callan Rich, but looking at me, people probably wouldn't have ever known that. On the Bryan side of the family, there's some descendant there from Jamaica. Some of our family either came from Jamaica or they migrated to Jamaica and then immigrated back to Cayman Brac.
Mm-hmm.
And all of that is very interesting background to know. And we see. I know you were in the States for a very, very long time.
Not that long, 15 years, short.
Oh, well, no, that's long enough to know the ins and outs, right? And so was I as a child, and then went back as an adult, and I've seen the changes there in the States, but I've also seen where some things have still remained, and that goes back to like you were saying, the African descendants and that sort of thing, where blacks, there's different. Let's use, for example, blacks didn't want to be. Some blacks these days don't want to be called African Americans because some are saying we didn't descend from Africa, and then some blacks are saying we're African Americans. They changed the terminology so many different times over the years, and so and then we see, call it what we like, racism and colorism and that sort of thing, identity because of your skin color or your background, your heritage, your history, is evident every single where we go. Even here in Cayman, even though we like to say that it isn't,
yeah.
Even amongst our own people is my opinion, So I think it's very important that we do, and especially because we are in an evolving nation, and it's very imperative for us to find these things out. Going back to that question there with Dr. Steve on Friday, you would not believe I had 5 people message or call me, and because someone took the clip of that conversation, my first question, and posted it to Facebook, and a few people messaged and called me and said, "Hey, Dr. Steve didn't answer your question," and the question was basically if I think history is sort of repeating itself with Cayman, and you talking about Cayman and Jamaica, but referring to different classifications of people. So I do think it's very important to answer your question that we do.
Oh, okay. But, talking about the question to Dr. Steve, I probably myself even misunderstood it to a certain extent because I missed the different classification of people. And I think what we ended up talking, about was the influence, the Jamaican influence, and it still obtains today, and that influence is there stronger than any other nationality, even the English, simply because of our geographic position with Jamaica, but also our legislative or constitutional position with Jamaica as well. So that's I think the reason that Dr. Steve didn't answer it was probably he, like I, really misunderstood the question.
Right. That's probably how I formed it.
Yeah.
But other people understood it, and they were like,
they're not under as much pressure. They're not under as much pressure in the studio as we are.
Right. But he still gave a good response in terms of you can pick what you want out of it and make what you want out of it. Yes. Yes, sir. So
okay.
And so you can relay that information that you were.
Yes, I will read it. We have to go to a commercial break now, and when we return, I will read what it was all about this morning for you as well. Thank you very much, too. Folks, please stay tuned. Talk Today. We'll be back shortly.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
Social media, X, formerly Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Interact with our talk shows on YouTube. Download our official Radio Cayman app, or you can log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky. You can also add us to WhatsApp
on 925-3261.
All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. I'm your guest host, Orrett Connor. We do have a caller, but I just want to share this information with the last caller since she missed what took place on For the Record this morning with Mr. Woody Foster and Miss Lise Hurlston. So under the theme, Good Governance Begins with Us, the Commissions for Standards in Public Life, Good Governance Campaign recognizes that good governance is a shared responsibility. Let me see if I can change this, turn the screen on this and get it from a different, so I don't have to scroll so much. Okay, here we go. This is much better. Under the theme of good governance begins with us, the Commissions for Standards in Public Life's Good Governance Campaign recognizes that good governance is a shared responsibility. It seeks to encourage a national conversation about the standards expected of persons in public life, while providing opportunities for residents to learn more about the Commission's work and contribute to proposed improvements to the Standards in Public Life Act. Each activity of the campaign, so there will be a campaign, each activity of the campaign will focus on a different topic. The topic for this conversation, which was this morning, had to do with the Register of Interest. There's a deadline for annual submissions for the Register of Interest, which is the 30th of July. So those persons who fall under that act and have to submit to provide a register of interest, they have until the 30th of July to do so. So they will have campaigns. They will be on other networks, talk shows. They will, visit people and get feedback in relation to the legislation. So I would say to you, continue to follow them, Commission for Standards in Public Life, and you will hear more about the campaign. So this morning's talk was about the Register of Interest in that case. So I hope and trust that brings clarity for our caller. Let's go to our WhatsApp caller. Caller, good afternoon. Welcome to Talk Today.
Good afternoon, OC. It's good to see that you are doing a double shift again.
That's easy for you to say.
Well, I'm just wondering whether eventually we will see a third shift with you taking over either, Dion Anglins in the evening, but we'll see whether that will happen.
No,
OC, it's...
Go ahead. Sorry.
No. You were going to say something.
No, I was going to say, the next thing I'll train for is to be behind the control. So I'll be on the other end where I'll take your calls.
Well, probably you would want to transition to that more than doing a third shift. Yeah. Well, see, it's I missed your show this morning because I had to go out, but then I went back to it. But I did listen to it with Mr. Woody Da Costa and Miss Helston. And in some ways, that theme has continued into the afternoon. You see, the way I see the whole issue of standards in public life is, and I'm sure others see it that way. What I'd like to discuss is also discuss it in a broader context. Standards in public life, an important piece of legislation. People have to disclose their property. We have to see where they are in terms of wealth from one point to another. I know that there's no politician in the Cayman Islands who has made $2 billion in 1 year, but I know somebody else who has. We are not that bad. So I just think that in addition to the standards in public life, it will be good as well, and I imagine they want to do this, to discuss it in a broader context. I find that the checks and balances on the government side could work a little better, particularly in relation to Parliament. I would like to see more discussion in Parliament of how institutions on the executive side of government are performing.
Okay.
So, for example, I mean, there's somebody who said on another show, they said, "Oh no, but you can't criticize the judiciary because you see the judiciary is independent." I said, no. The judiciary is a part of the whole checks and balances principles. The way you check it is a little bit different from the way you might check other institutions, but it is still part of it. And so when the judiciary, the Human Rights Commission, Anti-Corruption Commission, DPP's office, Attorney General's office, all those institutions, when they prepare their reports, when they go to Parliament, I would like to see a lot more of discussing those reports rather than just saying, well, the report has been tabled and I thank the colleagues for their tacit support and so on. It laid on the table of the House. I'd like them to, for example, discuss how people are being prosecuted, because once a prosecution has taken place and it's finished, you can discuss it in Parliament. Why, for example, was one politician prosecuted in a particular case when the people didn't want to pursue the matter? Okay. Why was another head of an organization, I won't mention names, I'll just talk about this thing in general. Why was a certain administrator of a particular organization prosecuted for blackmail when actually she was doing what the judge asked her to do, which was, can you talk to the other side so that you can see if you can resolve the matter? And that is something she could do anyway. How could you say that the person is being prosecuted? How do you charge such a person with blackmail? And blackmail is a very serious offense. And then when it went to court, the judge dismissed it without taking it to the jury because she said, this is frivolous. Surely, in my view, things like that later on should be discussed in Parliament as to why did this happen? Is there a policy that allows you to prosecute people in this selective way? I mean, there are so many cases. Doctors Express, people were never prosecuted, and that certain alleged illegalities came out. In the portfolio of legal affairs, a paralegal is prosecuted, but the Crown Counsel who was supervising her, who could have been prosecuted, is not prosecuted. But meanwhile, you want to remove the ombudsman. And then there are all these things, OC, which I think once they are done, when they go to Parliament, they should be able to discuss them. I also am very, very, maybe let me end on the one about the office of the governor. Oh, by the way, there was also a case way back, you remember, where a police officer assaulted another police officer. They didn't fire him, they sent him to the BRAC, and so on and so forth. There was also a case, you remember, way back, a current MP was arrested by the police, and they found out later on that actually the police officer was lying. But anyway, let me end with the governor's office. Governor's office, one time they lied to me about pictures. I won't go into that. But what I'm more concerned about is one time when it was found that the Judicial Commission, after 5 years, of amendment of the Constitution, they were not putting together the rules for complaining against judges. The governor was made aware, I made him aware, and then he told the commission, he said, okay, you are now aware, the commission, please do it when you can. After another 2 years, again, they didn't do it. In the end, they had to be found guilty of maladministration by an ombudsman. To me, that shows me that although the governor's office sometimes talks about accountability, it is not ready to play its role to say, hey, this duty was imposed 5 years ago. This has not been done now. This is something I would have to report on to Her Majesty's government. Please do it as soon as you can. The Governor Roper didn't do that. All he did was, well, they are now aware. And because they knew he wasn't pushing, at the end of 2 years, it wasn't done. It was only done when somebody else more brave was able to do it. So I think the whole thing, you need to look at how practically things are also working, not just these theoretical things about disclosing things, important though they are.
Yes.
Let me leave it there.
Before you go, caller, two questions in relation to what you have said.
Sure.
One, in relation to the reports that are tabled in Parliament, do you believe that committees similar to the Public Accounts Committee should be established to go over those reports and to hear from the writers, the persons who are in charge of producing those reports, be it the CEOs of statutory authorities, government and government companies, or other departments, should be established for that. Like you said, it's we get a presentation by the minister or a member who is making the presentation. They do a little summary of things. Some do. Some say, nothing more to add to it. And that is it, unless someone takes the initiative to go ahead and look at them, absolutely nothing happens. So should some form of committee, either of the whole House or a select committee, be established for that purpose? And without getting into any current situations, I would seek your views on the performance of the Director of Public Prosecution's office when we see some of the reports now coming out of the courts in terms of where it appears as if several cases have been mishandled.
Yeah. OC, that's exactly what I'm talking about, that there should be committees in the House to discuss these issues. Now, I know that a few months ago, there was a motion which was moved to establish some committees. I don't know how far that went or whether it was withdrawn and then they've decided that they are going to look into it. But yes, there is a need to establish these committees because at the end of the day, it is the committees usually actually which participate more meaningfully in the checks and balances, because they could even have public meetings, public sittings, where members of the public who've got some grievances, can come there and say, well, look, there was this that happened to me, that happened to me. What is the policy of the government? Now, in saying that, I'm conscious of the fact that the House is a small House. It cannot afford to have very many committees. But still, I think this is something that has to be done so that way the giving of reports to Parliament is not just a formality. I really get concerned when a lot of these cases which I've mentioned, when they happen, maybe one of us, the loudmouths, we call it a radio show, and some other person talks about it, but it dies off. And it seems to me one way in which that those matters can be discussed meaningfully by people who are consequential and who could do something about it is to ensure that there's a properly operating and effective committee system in Parliament to ensure that the checks and balances system is working as it should be. That way, I think it will reach more people in terms of ability to express views, but also in terms of being able to make changes. Like, for example, one committee which they should have, OC, is a committee on government assurances. They have that in England and in a lot of Commonwealth countries. And that is a committee which once a minister makes an undertaking to government, that committee on a proactive basis, it follows up to say, did you do this? Did you not do this? And so on and so forth.
Yes.
All those things that I think, would really help to improve things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I know that, for instance, the Foreign Affairs Committee, which deals with overseas issues with overseas territories and stuff, they hold the ministers to account, yeah.
Oh, yes. But all in time, I think, so long as we keep talking about these things, I know government has got a lot of things they have to do and they have to attend to. They just finished a big reform on immigration, environment, and so on. But I think these things are... And, by the way, this is the best time to do those things because the speaker that we have now, that's a speaker who was talking about these things even when he was, first of all, he was a member. When he was retiring, he's somebody who really believes in them. This is a very good time.
He's proactive rather than reactive. Yes.
Exactly.
So the DPP, I continue to see names that I believe I recognize as having worked in the DPP's office. Now on the other side of the prosecutorial table, if I may call it that as well.
You mean like people who used to work for the DPP's office but are now
in private?
The defense?
Yes. I see a few names there that I sort of recognize, and that's one of the reasons that I'm asking you, about the DPP and what's happening in there. Do you believe that we have the same type of a DPP that we had in government when you were there?
You see, when I joined government at that time, the Attorney General was still the DPP because the office of DPP hadn't been established. Yeah, and then later on, of course, the DPP's office came in. But what I can say about that OC, I think that office needs to develop a proper policy on prosecutions. They have policy papers from different, like in different jurisdictions. In Canada, they have them in the UK as well. So that once they have a policy as to how they approach cases, if they don't do something, or if you suspect they haven't done something, then you can refer to the policy and say, well, look, this is what the policy says here, but we are not quite sure you applied the policy in this particular series of cases. And then the committee can look into those. I mean, the mere fact that there's a committee which can do that on a regular basis, that itself keeps them in check because they know that somebody will look at it and they will be just extra careful. I mean, we know we have oaths, OC. You take your oath of office, but oaths are worth very, very little. You have to operate more by the Reagan principle, trust but verify. Okay, that's the way it has to be. We know that people in government are not out there just to be dishonest. No, but let's face it. Once you're in your own little position there, you become ensconced in it and so forth, and then you've got certain pressures operating on you. There's a way in which you can forget that you're accountable to somebody. So they have to be reminded you are accountable to the House, and also if something happens, there should be a case, for example, where you say that the committee has passed a resolution to say that they are unhappy about the manner in which prosecutions have been done and that they should look into the policy of doing that. Certain resolutions of that kind can be passed just to ensure that people are being held accountable. Well, these are the issues. You understand them, some of these better than me, because you operated in government much longer than me and also from different aspects. So I hope that some of these things can be addressed, but we'll see. But we are here to communicate our ideas, even if it's on the radio. So.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Elsie. Bye-bye.
Okay. Any other callers on hold at this point in time? 2 callers on hold. Okay, let's grab the next caller. Caller, good afternoon. Welcome to Talk Today.
Mr. Connor.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
It's me again, Mr. Brown, Craig Brown. Mr. O.C.
Listening.
You know what I want to say, sir? When they're talking about where we from, they must also remember about these world wars. And that a lot of Caymanians fought in the world wars and all this kind of thing too. And people are mixed, and the dark mixed with the brown and the light skin and all kinds of stuff. So I'm saying to myself now, I wonder if they really want to know the history, because what a lot of people they'll find out a lot about power, plenty of power, plenty of political power, and with different countries and stuff like that relating to Cayman and Caymanians. That some of that now people might want to find out, but now I was talking to a certain young man now a couple of years ago. This other side of history now, talking to him, but the first time I saw the video on a projector at town hall when I was a little child. So I saw this video with this man, this powerful man now, and about war and all that, you know. And I always wondered about that man. But anyway, me and another Caymanian guy now was talking now, and I said, no, he ain't related to that man, because that man was a famous war criminal. And then a couple of years after now, he said, yeah, he related to him. He related to him. But that's how a lot of Caymanians would put it, not me. I not related to him, and I ain't related to the other one either.
Yep. Denial, yes.
Denial. But the tourists really love Cayman. They love Cayman, Mr. OC, and they like to talk about history, and I like to talk history with a lot of them foreign people too. I like to talk history with them, and some of them would tell me, "I'm coming back to look for you," and they come right back and look for me, you know, Mr. OC.
Great, that's good to know. Good to know.
They stay in the spot here.
Yeah.
And you know where I would do my little, my little sales and stuff, and I say I look forward to seeing some of these tourists, and they come right back and look for me too, and we sit down and we talk, and and some of them they treat me like a family. So I really enjoyed my time with a lot of these foreign people. They really were very, very nice, and but when it concerns now the history now of families and from these different countries and stuff like that, maybe that's one reason why well, I don't want to say too much, but you know, people know they got history, you know, from other countries. They know that they got relatives here in Cayman, and they want to find out, well, where is so and so? Is that building still there? Or you know, but they want to get back here and talk a lot about even family, and that's why I realized, Mr.
Okay,
Mr.
thank you very much for that caller. I want to grab one more caller before we go to our commercial break. Let's grab the next caller. Caller, good afternoon. Welcome to Talk Today.
Hi, Mr. Connor. It's me again.
Hi.
Hi. I don't know where Mr. Billy is, and I don't know how long he's been gone from Cayman, but I don't know where he finds the time to invest in what's going on in the Cayman Islands, but he sure knows his stuff about what's going on here, and what very interesting always to hear him calling in and hear what he has to say, because he's very, very knowledgeable and informed. I wanted to quickly touch on the DPP's office. I won't touch on anything to do with the director, but I will say this: in many free world states, we know the prosecution's office is often where attorneys funnel through in order to get their professional expertise, and build up their legal history and their defending litigation history and that sort of thing. And so I think for quite a long time that's what's been happening with Cayman. And we've heard a lot of discussions over the years about why they can't retain staff and what happens there and whatnot. I'm not going to get into that, but it is concerning that these things are recurring things over the years. I don't know how they're going to fix it, whether, I don't know how much power the director of public prosecution has or what the tier is with that position. But I do believe that we really need to do some overhauling, because I was employed at the courthouse for 4 years, 2004, and even as far back then, there were, I don't know if this present director was there then, but even as far back as then, there were concerns about files being lost or not brought to court, or charges not filed in time, and accused showing up to court. And this is not slighting the department management skills or anything like that. I'm just saying on a whole how I've seen how things have been playing out. So it's embarrassing for the department. It's embarrassing for the Cayman Islands government. It's embarrassing for our country in a whole that these things have continuously repeated year in, year out, and through different staff members going through the department. So definitely we need to do something there.
And there are times, caller, there are times when magistrates and judges have chastised them as well for, their actions or lack of action in certain instances.
Yes, I've actually been in court a few times during tenure when that has happened, and outside of tenure. So you're absolutely right with that, sir. Just to quickly chime into what Mr. Billy said about the parliamentary report, and you asking whether we think we need committees. I do agree with you. We may need more committees to police this in a manner of speaking. We know we have the Finance Committee, the standing, what's the other committee? The standing.
I think there's a standing House Committee.
Yeah, something like that. And then we have the committee that was supposed to oversee the last administration.
Parliamentary, the management. There's a management committee that they have now as well, I believe. Yeah.
Right, and then they were putting in Parliament. They had put together some committee to review all of the fuel costs and all that sort of thing.
Yes.
Yeah, different little things like that. And I do believe that those worked well, or they seem to be working well. And I agree with you. We should be putting something like that, those things more together. I don't know where they're going to get the people from, but to say this, I know for sure that there have been discussions in Parliament with some of these reports that are tabled, not entirely all the time, but I know there's hours and hours that have gone on. Staff members from the various ministries and what do they call the other government associations like Cayman Airways and those places?
Statutory authorities and government companies. Authorities.
Yes. Their staff will come in order to assist the ministers when they want to, when they have to give their statements or debates or whatever they're called on some of these reports. So it's not quite accurate that the reports aren't discussed at Parliament. And lastly, they're publicly available. I think it's on the parliamentary website, or you can call Parliament and ask for copies, because once they're tabled, they become public documents. So people would want to explore that too if they want to know more information. But I'll leave you with that for now too.
Thank you very much. And just to say that maintaining an effective and functioning democracy doesn't necessarily, come cheap, and we should never ever put a monetary value on it, as well. Yes, there are certain things we can afford now, and we can, and we may be able to afford later on as well. But we should not be hesitant, to put our resources behind a fully functioning democracy or democratic process as well. Folks, we're going to take a commercial break. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly. Talk today.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning. Ouch! When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your sister islands.
Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Hello everyone, I am 15-year-old Anaí Martinez Castro. I am proudly representing what I know is the heart of the Cayman Islands, West Bay. Through my initiative, Beauty Beyond the Crown, my platform is community service. I want to encourage our community to be service-oriented because I believe it will create a stronger future for the Cayman Islands. I'm going to encourage the community by hosting fun and educational events that bring people together and raise money for a local charity. My motto is, true beauty is found in service. I am proudly sponsored by Pythagorean Construction, who also gives back to their community by building and renovating spaces that makes a positive impact in their community. This is your contestant number 2, Anaí Martinez Castro.
As Minister for Health, Environment and Sustainability, I'd like to personally invite you to join me at one of our upcoming public town hall meetings. We're discussing proposed changes to legislation covering environmental health, tobacco and vaping, public health, health practice, and I want to hear from you. Whether you have questions, concerns, or ideas to share, these meetings are an opportunity for open conversation about issues that affect us all. Join us at 7 p.m. in West Bay at the John Gray Memorial Hall on Monday, 3rd August, or in Prospect at Seafarers Hall on Tuesday, 4th August. Come out, meet your neighbors, share your perspective, and be a part of shaping the future of health in our islands. Light refreshments will be available. I will also be visiting Cayman Brac and Little Cayman for town hall meetings on the 7th and 8th of August, and I look forward to meeting with our sister island communities. More details will be shared soon. I look forward to seeing you there.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. My name is Orrett Connor, filling in for Mr. Charles Glidden. Do we have any callers on hold? No callers on hold at this time. So, folks, I shared earlier in the show with you an article written, The ABCs of Caymanian Heritage, Cayman's African Heritage. And I am happy that the writer of that article did send me some more information in relation to it. So it was called Cayman News Star. And we do have a caller, but caller, just bear with me 1 second, please. Cayman News Star. So the Google information on it was News Star was a prominent national news and current affairs magazine published in the Cayman Islands during the late 20th century, active through the 1980s and 1990s. Historical overview role functioned as a leading national news magazine covering local politics, culture, and major environmental or infrastructural events in the territory. Archival records, past editions feature iconic covers such as historic local weather events from 1990 and in-depth reports tracking the island's modern development. Physical and cataloged summaries of News Star magazine articles are preserved locally by the Cayman Islands National Archives as part of their historical collection documenting Caymanian media. And additional information, the founders and publishers of Cayman News Star, they were, bear with me 1 second here, I have to find that for you as well. They were Peter Jackson, Will Pinot, and Peter Jackson, Will Pinot, and Thora Crichton were involved in that publication as well. So that's additional information for you. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good afternoon. Welcome to Talk Today.
Good afternoon. Hello. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Just fine. I can't complain for an old man. listening with interest to all you were talking about in the last several days. I mean, when you're on, and it's very important that we try to say his story is so important.
Yep.
We are forgetting our history, our heritage, so forth. One thing that bothers me when we talk about African heritage is this. People seem to think, or a lot of people seem to have idea in mind that Africa is a country. It's not. It's a continent. And it has 54 large countries. And they're very different in makeup and so forth and so on. And of those countries, many of our ancestors as slaves came over from just specific countries and regions and so forth. Ghana and Senegal and Ethiopia and Mauritania and Liberia and Ivory Coast there. But, you know, a lady was earlier on talking about the black Americans, you know, but this name or connotation, African American, it was really created as a political thing. It's meant to deal with taxation, and rightly so, that there was a disbursement of taxation and so forth. And but I've never heard, and I used to be in Overtown for 10 years straight, nearly every evening, every night. Workers that work with me. And I've never heard any of them ever call themselves African American. Never, ever. Never. I'd be lying if I say I did. Those 10 years of that going just in Overtown, often. Even when I had the riots, they had a special pass from the police to go into Overtown to take guys home who worked with me. And they never ever call themselves that. In fact, I remember drawing a map of Africa on a little piece of paper talking about, I don't know how the conversation came about at work, and they didn't recognize it. Most of them didn't. But the idea is that we came from specific regions. And that's it. Just like with the Irish and the British and whatever started, there's some specific regions. And we don't hear Italian Americans saying they are European Americans. No, if they talk about it, and most of them will just say, I'm an American, and that's it. And the French over there, the same thing. And
but is that, caller, if I could interrupt you there, isn't that possible simply because they were not enslaved like the black Americans? You know, their ancestors were enslaved. Why that different? Why they make that distinction? You know, the Europeans?
I don't know really, because they were enslaved in the Junior Second World War, and in many of the movements before that, with the war there with what was his name in Spain there, Francisco Franco, and all that, and many were oppressed, and as we know, with the French, more Frenchmen fought against France than for France during the Second World War. But no one wants to talk about these things. No one wants to say that. 3,000 Australians died in Vietnam. In the Vietnam, a United Nations war. But we only talk about the Americans as if it's an American war. It wasn't at all. It wasn't at all. It was a United Nations war. The same thing with the Korean War. And it's important that people speak the truth with this. But, you know, we can carry this on forever. And it would be important if we were to learn what is going to be difficult for us to learn in Cayman, exactly what part we came from. Maybe we can. Maybe we can. And really and truly, I don't see much purpose behind it, but we can prove that we came from some part of Africa, and it would be good if we could find out specifically what part and so forth. But they're warring now there in many of the countries. It's sad, very sad, what they're doing, killing each other by the hundreds each week, by the thousands sometimes. But we don't hear much about that.
So caller, but don't you think that it is important? You live your life, and if we're fortunate, like Mr. Clinton Whitaker, to live for 100 years of age, and I know longevity runs in your family as well. You don't think that that it is important for you to know from where you came, from whence you came?
Yes, it is important, but I think we need to focus more on where we're at now. With the background of our past, that's very important. All important things that we did, that since we became over here in Cayman and did so many important things that people don't want to focus on. My wonderful father, I gave information. People here, there are many things he had done, and many write-ups he had in the Jamaican Gleaner, the boat building, and big boats he built here, and taught navigation, taught the pilots, the harbor pilots, how to handle their vessels and how to bring them in and out of the harbor, and teaching them and inspecting boats for the government. Then he went over also long before that to Panama, and also he was one of the 4 lead carpenters. There were 4 lead carpenters on the Goldfield building here, and he was one. But there's no, when I gave him information on my father, what I could find out, and so many things that, on the turtling thing that he did for the marine, shipping over 20,000 turtles through Kingston there, where he had crawled at the docks and brought over so many Caymanians to work with him. Nobody's interested in hearing that.
Well,
so important.
They don't know about it, and they won't have an interest until someone starts to talk about it. Yeah. Well, we need to talk more. You need to talk more about it. You need to keep.
I told them, and I gave them my information. They all had it. Yeah. And I was so disappointed, and so was my mother, because she was alive at the time.
Well, let's keep the fight going, and if you have that information, pass it on to someone else. We'll keep it going.
After a while, you get
discouraged.
Yeah.
Understood.
Discouraged with it. But it's wonderful for you all to keep, because as you say, the people coming here, they know nothing about our history. Like Mr. Ard McLean often says, they know
our glory, but you don't know our story.
Our story.
Yes.
And that is it.
Thank you very much, caller. Have to go to.
Take care. God bless you.
All the best. Folks, please stay tuned. Talk today. We'll be back shortly.
If they are talking about us,
living in your head rent-free all this time,
we must be relevant. Radio Cayman since 1976. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines.
The Headline News is brought to you by Kirk Market.
I'm April Cummings with your latest headlines. The 2026 Pirates Week Festival has a theme. Youth Sports, Heritage and Culture Minister, the Honorable Isaac Rankin, announces this year's celebration will run under the banner Spirits, Gold and Glory. The festival kicks off in the BRAC October 30th and 31st, moving to Grand Cayman November 6th through the 14th, and then wraps up in Little Cayman November 20th and 21st. In international headlines, Cracker Barrel is changing leadership following a rocky year for the restaurant chain. CEO Julie Massino is stepping down next month after an attempted rebrand led to widespread customer backlash. Former Bloomin' Brands CEO David Dino will take over on August 10th as the company looks to move forward. Social media influencers Andrew and Tristan Tate will remain in a Florida jail for at least 2 more weeks as they fight extradition to the UK. The Tate brothers are wanted in the United Kingdom on allegations that include sexual assault and human trafficking, which they deny. A federal judge has scheduled an August 13th hearing to determine whether the brothers should remain behind bars during what could be a months-long extradition process. Those are your headlines. I'm April Cummings.
www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. Less than a half an hour to go in the show. I'm your guest host, Orrett, Connor, filling in for Mr. Charles Glidden. One of our listeners has written, "Hi there. Good to reconnect, Orrett. This is High Chief Prince Dr. Wilton MacDonald II, or your former cycling buddy. Remember you quite well." And yes. So the topic resonates, and that's why I created GTR Genesis Timeline Roots on www.cmrtv.com on Saturdays at 2 p.m. Cayman time. I'm so sick and tired of blacks being mislabeled. African, no nonsense. Yes, I'm African, Nigerian, but also Scottish, being a MacDonald. And I can bet you are black European. Blacks lost land, but they never lost their names. We have our names. These are our names. My white Polish wife does not know where she is from. She is white, Polish, and for 21 years I went to her village. I have gone through a ton of Polish records. Nothing. It's time we know what we are, who we are, where we are, or were. GTR episode 16, Made Black in God's Image, was my best. Then episode 17/19 on the Cabbage Babies, as those are the roots of whites. Kindly reserve time to research proper black history. Few people have the cognitive ability to discern that 200 years ago the planet was black, melanated before the emergence of in 1800s. There's a little bit more to this, pretty long. Let me see what else I can share. Person says GTR is the #1 CMR TV show in Cayman for the past 6 months, based on YouTube and Facebook views. We are going global. I'm still a lawyer in 7 countries, doing a third PhD and linked to Cambridge. I run my own law firm, CEO of ADDI-African charity. I run my own hedge funds, Iberia Gold, and live in Poland. Still married with wife and 2 kids now. 12, yes. He was my cycling buddy. I have shared this with you. He sent it to me on WhatsApp to the WhatsApp number. He didn't say he didn't want it read, so I'm not sure, but I've read it. thinking that that was the intent. And I want to thank Mr. Wilton MacDonald, also known as the High Chief Prince Dr. Wilton MacDonald III. So, we were talking, one of our listeners, last caller, was talking about people thinking that Africa is a country as opposed to not knowing that it is a continent comprising many countries. One distinction, I believe it is Ethiopia, the only country in Africa that was not colonized. The only country in Africa that was not colonized. Now, there was something, and you heard me refer to it, I think it might have been last week, the carving up of Africa, which was also known as the Scramble for Africa, which was the rapid invasion, occupation, and colonization of the African continent by 7 Western European powers between 1881 and 1914, driven by the Industrial Revolution. European nations went from controlling 10% of Africa in 1870 to nearly 90% by 1914, dividing the land through political agreements without any African representation. That was done by in what is known as the Berlin Conference from 1884 to 1885. The meeting, the German Chancellor Otto von Bismarck hosted European leaders in Berlin to set the rules for dividing Africa peacefully amongst themselves. Some of the prominent notes about that particular conference: no Africans were present, 0 African kings, leaders, or representatives were invited or allowed in the room. Effective occupation. The resulting agreement stated that, I missed that. The resulting agreement stated that a European power could only claim an African territory if they proved they held active military and administrative control over it. Some of the main powers and motives of the conference and the carving up of Africa: the 7 nations, Great Britain, France, Germany, Belgium, Italy, Portugal, and Spain. Natural resources that the Europeans wanted, raw materials to feed their factories, including rubber, gold, palm oil, ivory, and copper. Exceptions: only 2 nations stayed independent by 1914. Ethiopia, that I mentioned earlier, which beat Italy in the battle, and Liberia, which had ties to the United States. And you heard me speak earlier of the fact that Ethiopia was the only country that was not colonized. Now, what are the lasting impacts of the carving up of Africa? Artificial borders were created. New borders cut right through existing ethnic groups. You would have heard me speak about that before. Kingdoms and trade routes, forcing different or rival communities into the same regions. Similar to what's happening now, gerrymandering in the United States, but this is gerrymandering to the 4th degree. Severe brutality. Colonial rulers such as King Leopold II, you heard about him, of Belgium in the Congo, used extreme violence and forced labor to extract wealth, killing millions. Modern conflicts. The arbitrary lines drawn during this era left behind deep political and social challenges that still affect African nations today as well. That, folks, is all about the scramble for Africa. And if you think all of that, including slavery, if you still believe that that doesn't have its residual effects today, then you are wrong. With that, we're going to take our last commercial break, folks. Please stay tuned. Talk Today. We'll be back shortly.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Did you know that you can send money transfers to financial institutions anywhere in Jamaica with JN Money?
You mean I can send money straight to my account and cut out the middleman?
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. You send your own money to your own account, giving you peace of mind that the money is in your account.
JN Money Transfers to Financial Institution is another convenient service offered by JN Money. You can have this done from any JN Money location. Deposit your money straight to your account without the hassle of asking someone to do it for you. JN Money Transfers to Financial Institutions, making life easier.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. We're in the last leg of the show this morning. 2 callers on hold. First caller, good afternoon. Welcome to Talk Today. Good afternoon, caller. Welcome to Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Mr. O'Connor.
Good afternoon again, sir.
Okay. Yeah, Mr. O'Connor, I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
From 1985 until 2025, how many governments did we have?
1985 to 2025, that would be 40 years. 10 elections.
And how many governments did we have?
I can't say off the top of my head because you may have had some governments that served consecutive terms or alternating terms as well. So I wouldn't have that information right off, on my fingertips.
Okay. And those individuals who the people of the Cayman Islands voted for, individuals that claim to be so intelligent and claim to be so smart and claim to love and care about the country so much. How is it that in 40 years they allowed the landfill to get to where it is today, that there's nothing they can do about it besides cover it up?
That's a good question. That's a good question. Sorry, I wouldn't have an answer just to say that each government's term that we fail to address it, it makes the situation much more difficult and much more complicated for anyone coming along who has to deal with it.
But how can something like that be ignored for so long? And these individuals put garbage in the garbage can every day that we voted to put in the assembly building. How is it that they never realized that the situation was getting worse to the point where people on the cruise ships are able to see the garbage dump in the Georgetown dock area? A situation now where firemen now lives are in danger when they go to out in these fires. The people in the community around the area of the garbage dump, their health is in a serious situation where they could find themselves with some serious health problems. How is it that these people, for over 40 years, allowed this thing to get to where it is today, that there's nothing they can do about it, and has become a national disgrace to the Cayman Islands?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much for that, caller. I want to thank one of our listeners for sharing with me. Ethiopia was never colonized, neither was Liberia. But while Liberia was never colonized by a European empire, it was established and initially controlled as a settler colony by the American Colonization Society. They did that. So while it was not physically colonized, it was classified as a colony through the American Colonization Society. I believe we still have one caller on hold. Let's grab the caller. Caller, good afternoon. Welcome to Talk Today. Good afternoon, caller. Caller isn't there. I'm going to go to my the Corbett report. Lieutenant Governor Nugent letters on the Cayman Islands. June the 3rd, 1802, I instructed Edward Corbett to proceed to the Cayman Islands and to give a full report of the island's population, cultivation, soil, etc. This report was written by Corbett on the 21st in Jamaica. That would be the 21st of June in Jamaica, which was handed to me by the same day. The Grand Cayman is the only one of 3 islands inhabited, which is situated nearly 50 leagues to the westward of Jamaica, steering a course from Negril Bay west-northwest. It is from 9 to 10 leagues in length from east to west. Its broadest part is eastward, about 7 miles. Its narrowest being 2 miles. In approaching, I'm going to do away with all the geographical descriptions that are placed on this. And let's go Georgetown, which was formerly named Hogstyes. No, I need to do that. Something, before that. In proceeding along the coast to the westward, there is a settlement of less importance, which are named in a list of inhabitants and their residents. At the western extremity is a capacious bay called Sand Bay, on the south part of which contains a similar number of white families as Bordentown. Georgetown, which was formerly named Hogstyes, has the only harbor in the island into which vessels of any burden could enter. It is perfectly secure from every wind except those from the westward. There is a good anchorage of vessels of any burden not approaching nearer the shores than 8 fathoms of water, about a quarter of a mile or less upon the north side of the island, is a large sound called the North Sound. Its entrance is found by 2 points, one called Barker's, the other Rum Point. A reef of rocks run from each, but in which, however, there are channels admitting vessels not drawing more than 9 feet. So this is a geographical description of the Cayman Islands. Really want to find the part in relation to a general account of the number of inhabitants in the island of Grand Cayman, distinguishing their color, place of residence, etc. So at East End, number of white families, 1 white family. Other families, 3. Number of slaves, none. People of color, and number of families, 2. And the number of slaves, 1. Frank Sound, number of white families, 1. Bordentown, number of white families, 24. Little Pedro, number of white families, 2. Spots, number of white families, 3. Prospect, number of white families, 2. Southwest Sound, number of white families, 7. At Georgetown, formerly called Hogstyes, number of white families, 17. At West Bay, number of white families, 8. At Bosun Bay, number of white families, 8. At North Side, number of white families, 1. Total number of white families, 66. Slaves in those districts. Frank Sound, 1. Bordentown, 233. And that is where my ancestors were, in Bordentown, I must say. Little Pedro, 8. Spots, 8. Prospect, 8. Southwest Sound, 8. Georgetown, sorry, I got that wrong. Bordentown, 233. Little Pedro, 9. Spots, 36. Prospect, 73. South Sound West, 21. Georgetown, 95. West Bay, 25. Bosun Bay, 25. North Side, 3, for a total number of 496. Says here, a list of the inhabitants of the islands of Grand Cayman, distinguishing their place of residence, number of each family, and the slaves that they possessed. East, and again, this is sort of like repeated where it's broken down district by district as well. And one of the things that hasn't been mentioned today, Dr. Macfield and I didn't mention it on Friday as well, but we should also bear in mind that after emancipation and the demands made by slave owners, that the British government borrowed £20 million to compensate slave owners for the loss of their slaves due to emancipation, and that slave owners right here in the Cayman Islands received compensation for their slaves as well. That £20 million was only that debt. I think it was in 1995. Someone may want to quickly do some research on that, but it was somewhere around then that the British government finally completed payment of that £20 million compensation to slave owners in the British colonies and in the UK as well. And of course, who paid that off? Taxpayers, including black taxpayers in the United Kingdom. They ended up paying twice. Folks, these things may be a little bit hard, and you may say, "Oh, OC is, branching off onto different things to stir up issues." Folks, we need to know what happened. You don't want to be like some other jurisdictions where their version of history and their version of the truth is different than ours. Okay, we do have a caller. Let's go to the caller, even though we only have about a minute and a half, but we'll try to accommodate the caller as long as we can. Caller, good afternoon. Welcome to Talk Today.
Yeah, hi. Orrett, hi. It's Dr. McDonald.
Hey, how are you doing, Doc? How are you?
I'm fine. I'm in Poland. And again, thanks for that, for the plug and just mentioning GTR. So I've been on this journey for all my life, 51 years. And it's important for all of us. This is a message of inclusion. GTR is just, we have compiled, and I've compiled with the help of one or two others, 1.2 million sized family tree, looking at the names of white, black, Asian, because I'm all of the three. My mother is Indian, my dad is mixed. What I thought to be just African has turned out to be Scottish. And it's also Yoruba, Nigerian. So we just need to know these questions, what we are, who we are, where we are, because those questions will determine what rights we have, what rights we enjoy.
Yes.
Folks, maybe you recall, I was stateless, literally stateless for 25 years. Didn't have any nationality whatsoever, yet I came to Cayman at 4. So those things do impact a person, and they remain with that person forever, as scars for life. So we need to know that. These economic rights, because in the times that are tough, people go to this, they don't know where the money is, the costs are just growing, and yet we have people who are enjoying so much, and then those with just so little, yet we keep using these labels, and they are burdens placed mostly on black and brown people. That has to stop.
Yep.
This is a message of inclusion, but it's a message of fairness. And that's what kind of GTR, Genesis Timeline Roots, is about. It's about going back to our original roots. Africa being Africa, what it is, it's the birthplace, but it's Hebrew, it's Jewish. It has so many stories that they've not been told. So we need to start telling these stories, just like we're telling stories in Cayman. For all of us, it's a message of inclusion, message where we are trying to come together, no divisiveness. I use the information that I've amassed for all these years, studying at a high level, 13 universities.
Wow.
It's about using this information to help people, to enhance and uplift. It's not to tear down and denigrate, because how could I tear down myself? I am 3 major races in one, married to a white woman for 21 years. It's crazy with biracial kids. We need to just, understand the truth. The textbooks, but people read and they search. We are the crossroads of a proportion that we have never seen before. We are at a major crossroads. What we do now will determine what the next 3, 5, 10 generations will come after us will experience and feel.
Precisely.
We have to make that truth happen. We have to communicate and know and search and say, if you are really from here, because you see, people are displaced right now in the UK and the US, ICE and these raids, and people are saying, well, you Windrush, you don't belong here, you must go. Well, if I must go, where must you go as well? If I'm going someplace. So blacks lost a lot of property, they lost lands, but they had their names. And I'm here, and I represent a global charity, which is ADDI, the African Diaspora Development Institute. It's the CEO, and I'm trying to communicate this truth in a humanitarian, peaceful, calm way, because we ought to know this truth. We've been relying on labels. I've seen so much erasure. You talk about the census and the counting of heads. I will tell you, I've seen records with Dr. Marie Charles in the UK. She has compiled. Even in the U.S., where major censuses in the 1870, 1890, the censuses were just removed, erased. I've seen records in the U.S. where there were people, blacks were labeled Indians, and then I actually got a copy of it from the county courthouse, scratched out and replaced by colored, or scratched out and replaced by a Negro, or scratched out and replaced by Afro-American. I'm like, when is it going to stop? It is just crazy. These are primary sources. And if anyone wants to challenge, feel free to do it. But after 13 universities, you know, I guess one has a certain level of information that the average person doesn't.
Yep.
So
great,
there you have it.
Great hearing from you. We'll try to keep in touch as well. Good hearing from you, and we'll follow you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So
Thank you very much.
God bless.
Okay.
God bless.
So, folks, before we wrap up, so the £20 million, which represented roughly 40% of the national budget of England at the time, to compensate white slave owners for the loss of their quote-unquote property, because that is what we black slaves were viewed as. And folks, they finally paid off that debt in, I said 1995. I was, 20 years early on that. They paid it off in 2015. 2015, they paid off that debt. That would be around about the same time that the government of Jamaica was told that we need to get past this whole thing, when they started to talk about reparations, that we needed to get past that. Well, folks, I have gone past the 2:30 hour. I want to say thank you for all of those who called in, for all of those who sent messages. I want to thank the writer of the ABCs of Caymanian heritage, Cayman's African heritage, that was written as well. Folks, continue to have a great day. Please stay safe. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to continue to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
Talk Today is brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066.